History remembers Andrew Carnegie as one of the richest men of his time. His name is often linked to steel, power, and industry, but history rarely begins where the story truly starts. Before the wealth, before the factories, before the influence, there was a poor boy. A boy born into struggle, in a family that worked hard just to survive. His childhood was not filled with comfort or choice. It was filled with uncertainty. When Andrew Carnegie arrived in America, nothing was waiting for him. No money, no connections, no safety. He lived in crowded homes and began working at a very young age. While others learned in classrooms, he learned in factories. While others dreamed, he endured. Yet this is not only a story about becoming rich. It is a story about learning, patience, and long-term thinking. Carnegie believed knowledge was the only real escape from poverty. He believed effort mattered more than background. And over time, that belief shaped his life. But his journey did not stop at success. As his wealth grew, so did his questions. What is success for? What responsibility comes with power? And what should be done with more than enough? At Success Avenue, we share stories that go beyond money. Stories about quiet ambition, difficult choices, and lasting impact. This is not just the rise of Andrew Carnegie. This is the story of how a life built from nothing can change the world, and how true success is measured not by what you keep, but by what you give. Chapter 1. Born into poverty. Andrew Carnegie was born in 1835 in a small town in Scotland. His family was poor. They lived in a simple home with very little comfort and no sense of safety about the future. His father was a handloom weaver. He worked long hours, making cloth by hand. For many years, this was honest work. It helped the family survive. But the world was changing. New machines began to replace human labor. Factories could produce cloth faster and cheaper. Slowly, Andrew's father lost his work. Each day became harder than the last. Money grew scarce. Food was not always enough. The family felt constant worry. Fear became part of daily life. Andrew was still very young, but he noticed everything. He saw his father's pride fade. He saw his mother struggle to keep the family together. He saw how quickly life could change. Poverty was not just about money. It was about uncertainty. It was about never knowing what tomorrow would bring. Andrew learned this lesson early. Survival required effort. Nothing was guaranteed. If you stopped trying, you fell behind. His mother was strong and practical. She believed in discipline and hard work. She pushed Andrew to be responsible from a young age. From her, he learned focus. From his father's struggle, he learned awareness. While other children played freely, Andrew felt the weight of adulthood early. He understood that comfort was fragile and could disappear at any time. This early hardship shaped his thinking. He did not grow up dreaming of ease. He grew up thinking about survival, improvement, and escape. Poverty made him alert. It made him observant. It taught him that the world rewards those who prepare for change. Struggle shaped his vision long before success entered his life. Andrew Carnegie learned its first lesson, that hard times can build strong minds. Chapter 2. A New World. Same struggle. As life in Scotland grew harder, Andrew Carnegie's family faced a painful truth. There was no future for them there. Work was disappearing. Hope was fading. So they made a brave decision. They would leave everything they knew and move to America. In 1848, the Carnegie family crossed the ocean in search of a better life. America was seen as a land of opportunity, a place where hard work could lead to progress. They carried hope with them, even though they carried very little else. Andrew was still a child. The journey was long and uncomfortable. The future was unknown, but in their hearts, they believed this move would change their lives. When they arrived, reality quickly set in. America was not easy. The family settled in a working-class area. Their home was small and crowded. Money was still scarce. There was no safety, no comfort, and no guarantee of work. The streets were loud. The factories were harsh. Life moved fast and demanded strength. Andrew saw that opportunity did not mean comfort. It meant struggle in a new form. His parents worked hard, but survival was still difficult. Every day required effort. Every decision mattered. The hope of a better life did not remove sacrifice. It increased it. Andrew learned another important lesson during this time. Opportunity is not a gift. It is a challenge. America offered chances, but only to those willing to endure pain, uncertainty, and patience. This new world tested the family, but it also strengthened Andrew's awareness. He understood that success would not come from dreaming alone. It would come from sacrifice. Hope and anxiety walked side by side, and Andrew Carnegie kept moving forward, step by step, into an uncertain future. Chapter 3. Childhood ends early. Andrew Carnegie's childhood did not last long. At a very young age, he began working. School was no longer the center of his life. Survival was. His days started early and ended late, inside loud and crowded factories. His first jobs paid very little. The work was hard and repetitive. Long hours passed with little rest. The air was heavy. The noise never stopped. His body grew tired, but the work continued. Each day felt the same. Wake up, work, endure. There was no choice. Andrew saw something clearly during these years. Not everyone lived the same life. Some people worked until their bodies broke, while others lived with comfort and safety. He saw inequality with his own eyes. This awareness stayed with him. Pain became a teacher. Exhaustion became normal. He learned discipline not from books, but from pressure. Showing up mattered. Finishing the job mattered. Complaining changed nothing. Even when he was tired, he stayed focused. Many children his age dreamed freely. Andrew learned to stay alert. He learned that effort was the price of survival. If he wanted a better future, it would not come easily. These years were heavy, but they shaped him. Hard work taught him patience. Struggle taught him control, and long hours taught him endurance. Andrew did not yet know where his life would go, but he understood one thing clearly. Hard work teaches survival, and survival builds strength for the road ahead. Chapter 4. Hunger for knowledge. Even after long and tiring workdays, Andrew Carnegie's mind stayed awake. His body was exhausted, but his curiosity was not. At night, when the factory noise finally stopped, Andrew looked for something more. He believed there had to be another way to live. He did not know exactly how, but he felt that knowledge was the key. Books became his escape. He began borrowing books whenever he could. He read late into the night, even when his eyes were heavy and his hands were sore. There was no teacher guiding him. There was no plan, just a strong desire to learn. After work, instead of resting, he read. He read about history, science, and ideas that felt bigger than his small world. Through books, he traveled far beyond the factory walls. He saw how other people thought, built, and led. Andrew started to believe something deeply. Knowledge could create freedom. He understood that muscles alone would not change his life, but learning might. Every new idea made him feel stronger. Every page opened a door he did not know existed. Curiosity became his quiet companion. While others relaxed after work, Andrew invested in himself. He trained his mind the way others trained their bodies. Slowly, his thinking changed. He began to see patterns. He began to understand how systems worked. Books gave him hope. They did not change his life overnight, but they changed how he saw the future. They helped him believe that his starting point did not have to be his ending. Education was not loud. It was not fast, but it was powerful. Andrew learned that the most important doors are not always visible. They open silently for those willing to learn. And once opened, they can never be fully closed again. Chapter 5. The Power of Mentorship. Andrew Carnegie's life began to change when someone finally noticed him. Until now, he had worked hard in silence. He did his job well, learned on his own, and asked careful questions. Slowly, people began to see his effort. One of the most important moments in his early life was meeting people who believed in him. For the first time, Andrew was not just seen as a worker. He was seen as someone with potential. These mentors did not give him money. They gave him something more valuable: guidance. They taught him how to communicate clearly, how to listen, how to speak with confidence. Andrew learned that success was not only about hard work, but also about understanding people. He watched how leaders behaved, how decisions were made, how trust was built. This was his first real exposure to business thinking. Andrew began to understand how organizations worked. He learned that behind every company were systems, choices, and relationships. He saw that leadership was not about control, but about direction. Mentorship helped him grow faster than he could alone. With guidance, his self-learning gained structure. His curiosity found purpose. His discipline found direction. Most importantly, Andrew learned to believe in himself. Someone else's belief became fuel for his confidence. It gave him the courage to aim higher and think bigger. This was a turning point. Andrew realized that talent grows faster when it is supported, that learning is stronger when it is shared, and that the right mentor can change the path of a life. Gratitude filled him. Growth followed. Andrew Carnegie was no longer walking alone, and his direction was beginning to change. Chapter 6. Learning the business world. As Andrew Carnegie moved forward, his work began to change. He was no longer just doing tasks. He was learning how the whole system worked. Andrew started rising through different roles. Each new position gave him a wider view. He paid attention to how messages moved, how money flowed, and how decisions were made. He watched closely and learned quietly. He understood one important thing early: doing a job is different from understanding a business. Andrew wanted more than a paycheck. He wanted to know why things worked the way they did. He asked questions. He observed people in charge. He learned how small choices could create big results. Responsibility came early. Andrew handled pressure with care. When mistakes happened, he owned them. When success came, he stayed focused. This discipline made others trust him more. He also learned about risk. Not every decision was safe. Some choices could fail. Andrew learned to think before acting. He learned to balance fear with logic. Over time, he became better at choosing when to move forward and when to wait. Confidence grew slowly, not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind built from experience, not words. Andrew began to see patterns. He understood how effort, timing, and planning worked together. He learned that success was not luck. It was structure. This stage of his life shaped him deeply. He was preparing without knowing it, learning without rushing it. Andrew Carnegie was mastering the system before trying to lead it, and that discipline would soon change everything. Chapter 7. Taking risks and investing early. As Andrew Carnegie gained experience, a new thought began to grow in his mind. Working for others was teaching him a lot, but owning a small part of something could teach him even more. Andrew made his first investments very carefully. He did not have much money. Every dollar mattered, so when he chose to invest, it was never easy. He used his savings, money he could not afford to lose. This brought fear. If the investment failed, he would fall back into struggle. There was no safety net, no rich family to help him. Every decision carried weight, but Andrew believed in one thing strongly: long-term thinking. He did not look for quick gains. He looked for strong ideas, useful services, and steady growth. He watched how industries moved. He studied where demand was rising. Some investments worked, some did not. When he lost money, it hurt, but he did not panic. Instead, he studied his mistakes. He asked himself what went wrong and why. Each loss became a lesson. When he earned money, he stayed calm. He did not celebrate too early. He reinvested. He planned. He stayed patient. These early risks shaped his mindset. Andrew learned that growth does not come from comfort. It comes from stepping forward with care, from taking risks that are thought through, not rushed. Fear did not disappear, but ambition became stronger. He learned how to control emotion, how to trust learning, and how to think years ahead, not days. This stage was crucial. Andrew Carnegie was no longer just earning money. He was learning how to multiply opportunity. Growth demanded courage, and courage, guided by thought, began to open new doors. Chapter 8. Building the Steel Empire. Andrew Carnegie's true breakthrough came when he entered the steel industry. At the time, Steel was becoming essential. Railways, bridges, buildings. The modern world was being built, and steel was at its center. Andrew saw this clearly, while many others did not. He focused completely. Carnegie invested in steel with full commitment. He studied the process deeply and looked for ways to make it faster, cheaper, and more efficient. He believed that control over every step of production was the key to success. So he built a system. He controlled raw materials. He improved factory methods. He reduced waste and delays. Efficiency became his strength. Andrew demanded high standards. He pushed for speed, accuracy, and discipline. His factories worked like machines, each part connected, each role clear. The results were powerful. Production increased rapidly. Costs dropped. Profits rose. His steel became the backbone of a growing nation. Railroads stretched farther. Cities grew taller. Industry expanded faster than ever before. Momentum built quickly. Andrew Carnegie rose from a careful investor to an industry leader. His steel company became one of the strongest in the world. With focus and control, he built dominance. Wealth followed. Soon, he was one of the richest men alive. But the success did not come from luck. It came from attention to detail, long-term planning, and total focus. This chapter of his life shows a clear lesson. When effort is scattered, results are small. When focus is strong, dominance follows. Andrew Carnegie proved that focus creates power, and power, when guided by discipline, can reshape the world. Chapter 9. Ruthless competition and moral conflict. As Andrew Carnegie's power grew, the pressure grew with it. The steel industry was not gentle. Competition was fierce. To stay ahead, Andrew used aggressive tactics. He pushed for lower costs, higher output, and full control of the market. His focus on efficiency was strong, sometimes too strong. Success came at a price. Inside the factories, workers faced long hours and hard conditions. Wages were often low. Safety was not always enough. The demand for speed created stress and pain for many laborers. These struggles became visible. Public criticism began to rise. People questioned the human cost of his success. Newspapers spoke of inequality. Workers' voices grew louder. Andrew faced moral conflict. He believed efficiency helped society by lowering costs and building progress. But he also saw the suffering connected to his system. This created tension inside him between growth and responsibility. He was not blind to the pain, but he was not always present to stop it. This period revealed the complexity of leadership. Power can build progress, but it can also create distance. Decisions made at the top affect lives far below. Andrew Carnegie's success was real, but so were its consequences. This chapter reminds us of an important truth. Success does not only test skill, it tests character. How a leader responds to pressure reveals who they truly are. Chapter 10. The cost of power. At the height of his success, Andrew Carnegie had almost everything: money, power, influence. Yet something was missing. Despite his wealth, peace did not always follow. The pressure of control, the weight of decisions, and the memory of workers' struggles stayed with him. Quiet moments brought questions he could not ignore. Was this enough? Was this what success was meant to be? Andrew began to reflect on his path. He looked back at the boy who once worked long hours and dreamed of escape. He wondered if he had moved too far from the values that shaped him. Money had given him comfort, but not clarity. He realized that wealth alone could not answer deeper needs. It could build factories and cities, but it could not bring lasting meaning. This understanding caused discomfort. Success had lifted him high, but it had also created distance from people, from purpose, from peace. Andrew began searching for something more than growth and control. He turned inward. He read. He thought. He questioned his role in the world. Slowly, a new belief formed. Wealth was not the final goal. It was a tool, and tools are meant to be used, not held. This chapter marks a shift. Andrew Carnegie began to understand that fulfillment does not come from what you own, but from what you contribute. Wealth, does not guarantee happiness. Meaning must be chosen. Chapter 11. Giving it all away. After years of building wealth, Andrew Carnegie made a decision that surprised the world. He chose to give it away. Carnegie believed that keeping vast wealth for oneself had no true purpose. He felt that money should serve people, not control them. Slowly and carefully, he began donating most of his fortune. His focus was clear: education and opportunity. He funded the building of thousands of public libraries across many countries. These libraries were open to everyone, rich or poor. Carnegie believed that access to knowledge could change a life, just as books had changed his. He also supported schools, universities, and research centers. He invested in peace efforts and public projects that aimed to improve society. His giving was thoughtful, not rushed. He wanted his wealth to create long-term value. Through these actions, lives changed. Children gained places to learn. Communities gained hope. Ideas gained space to grow. Carnegie found calm in this work. For the first time, his wealth felt aligned with his values. The pressure of ownership was replaced by the peace of contribution. Giving brought him a sense of balance that success alone never had. This chapter redefined wealth. Money was no longer a measure of power. It became a tool for progress. Andrew Carnegie showed the world a powerful truth. Wealth finds meaning when shared, and a legacy built on service lasts longer than one built on profit alone. Lessons for us. Andrew Carnegie's life leaves us with lessons that are simple but powerful. He did not start fast. He did not get lucky overnight. He did not follow an easy path. His journey teaches us that patience matters more than speed. Carnegie spent many years learning, failing, and growing. He understood that strong foundations take time. Real success is not a race. It is built step by step, often in silence. Another lesson is knowledge over luck. Carnegie believed that learning changes destiny. Books, ideas, and skills helped him rise when money could not. Luck may open a door, but knowledge helps you walk through it and stay inside. He also learned the hard truth about ethics over ego. Power can test a person. Wealth can confuse priorities. Carnegie made mistakes, and he faced criticism. Over time, he realized that winning at any cost brings regret. True strength comes from fairness, respect, and responsibility. The final lesson is legacy over money. Money fades, titles disappear, but impact remains. Carnegie's libraries, schools, and ideas continue to help people long after his death. He proved that success is not about how much you keep, but about how much good you leave behind. For us, the message is clear. Build slowly, learn deeply, act responsibly, give generously. True success is not measured by wealth alone. True success serves others. As we reach the end of this story, take a quiet moment to reflect. Andrew Carnegie began life with nothing, no money, no power, no special support. Yet his choices shaped millions of lives. Long after his own life ended, his wealth faded with time, but his impact did not. This is what real success looks like. Not loud success, not fast success, but meaningful success. Carnegie's journey reminds us that growth should have a purpose. Money can build comfort, but purpose builds meaning. When success is guided by values, it creates change that lasts. At Success Avenue, we believe that true growth is not just about reaching the top. It is about lifting others as you rise. It is about learning, patience, and using success to create something bigger than yourself. To everyone watching this, you do not need to be born rich. You do not need powerful connections. You do not need to start strong. You only need belief, effort, and purpose, because you don't need to be born powerful to change the world. Stay curious, stay patient, and keep walking your own success avenue.